It is day 47 of 100 days of code. In the code call, we're here, we're live. Hello everyone, if you're watching the recording, welcome. If you're watching live, welcome. This is day 47. Almost half time, 3 more days to go. And with me here today is someone who's been here for also 47 days straight in a row because he never misses a day. That's just the kind of guy he is. It's Andersen. How are you doing?
Hello. Doing great. Had a fun little code exposure today with RESTful routing and express method override. Basically, that answered a part of the question I had yesterday. I'm not sure if I will be able to formulate it today, but we basically we made a form that could send a patch request from the website itself, so we didn't have to use a like Postman or something from outside. And so usually the browser can't do anything else than post and get requests. But with the npm method override, or the np notice with the np method override, it's possible to basically let a form send patch request, and basically we have to install it of course first, then do the usual require thing, const method override equals require method override, and then we also have to use a middleware, app.use method override underscore method is a good string. There are multiple ways to use multiple syntax ways to use the method override, but in this we basically used it as an addition to the L that the form is posting to. So I guess I can just send you the code as well. So we
I already wrote some code. Let me know if this is, I think it's what you had probably.
Let me check real quick. I mean, app delete, we didn't have that yet, but URL encoded. From what was that again? I think, is that always
That's just the middleware. Middleware that helps with the query strings.
And do we always have to use this with Express, or?
No, but this helps with requests or with URL encoded payloads. It's basically similar to how the body parser works. I think you've used the body parser middleware in the past, right? Where you, for example, get where you can take in basically JSON payloads, and URL encoded is the one that you use to take payloads from forms, because forms by default send URL encoded payloads.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. But is the payload really in the URL then? Because we used the in the patch
So you laid out this for the critical word. You used a what in the patch?
We used request.body.comment as the new comment text.
Ah, got it. So then you probably used JSON. URL encoded looks like this. So then you have had it basically also as query parameters.
Yes, we didn't have that. No. We had.
So a little bit of bonus knowledge here for you, but it really doesn't matter if you use URL encoded or body parser, like both works out fine.
Yes. But I'm trying to remember where we used URL encoded, but I guess I have to go through that again. Like, where did I have to? I'll write that in my notes and I'll find it out because I'm curious.
If you have your notes open with VS Code, you can do a fuzzy search through all the nodes. With, I think, on Windows should be Control Shift F, and on Mac it's Command Shift F.
Yeah, I had my comments in the Udemy course at the moment.
Got it.
For this section.
Anyways,
yeah. Anyway,
you were explaining, I think, exactly where you were setting up the put handler, I think, or the patch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure in which order we set up each thing, but I guess it doesn't matter because it only works when everything is set up together. So the next thing I guess we set up was in the HTTP in the EJS of. So basically, we made a button that we could click on. Could click next to a comment, which led us to a comment /ID/edit with a get. And on this page in the HTML, we had a form with the post method and the action to lead to /comment/comment ID. And then we had the basically method override syntax, which is !_method equal patch. And in the text area of this post, we showed the content of the comment, so comment.comment. So basically, and we also had that inside of the get request, that it pulls from the comment array, so we can have the contents from the comment array. And yeah, basically, when we now submit this, the action sends a patch request to, as far as I understand it, to the main app, and we then activate the app.patch, which writes the body of the form into the array with the app.patch that we had yesterday, basically where we had new comment text equals request.body.comment, and writes that to patch comment.comment, and then redirects back to the main page. Did that make sense?
100%, yes. It is very valuable knowledge. because even though the EJS stuff is, will be done later with creating a different syntax, all of the rest that you've learned will be like more or less the same. Like the ground principles will be the same. You will also have these routes, you will also have these redirects, you will also have these parameters in the URL.
Nice. Yeah. I was. It took quite a while to work through that one video to really understand it. I was a bit confused, like why is the form going to a URL? But then I realized no, it's not going through to a URL, but it sends a patch request basically, and then the app.patch gets activated. So like, and that writes the body inside of the like to make that connection step by step. That was a nice aha moment.
That's great. So before we come to the question from yesterday, is there anything else you want to add? And then also, do you even still want to go, like able to formulate the question from yesterday? And if yes, should we do it today, or what do you prefer?
Yeah, let me try. So my question is that now it's like half answered. When I post stuff on social media, like Twitter or whatever, I'm not using Postman or the terminal because I'm just a regular user. And how did we call it? An NPC, non-programming character.
Yes, exactly. You're an NPC.
Because as a usual non-programming character, you of course you don't use Postman or what was the one that you Insomnia or something, and they also don't use and I wouldn't want to use that like when I'm on social media either. So my question was like, can I send post and patch requests from my own from forms that I put on the page itself? And basically we've now or code demonstrated how that went, copied the code along, and so it's so it's basically like it's not, it's the same as posting or patching to someone else's API, but only with your own API. Like instead, does that make sense?
I don't know if I got that last part, but yeah, when you do stuff on Twitter, for example, or whatever, pick your poison, whatever is your favorite social media, and behind the scenes, the stuff that you're learning is what is happening. There will be post requests, there will be GET requests, there will be patch requests. The mechanics of how it happens are a little different, though, from how you learn it with EJS. And it also depends on the technology that Twitter is using. So, for example, up until I would say about 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, when Remix rolled around, and now also with the new Next.js, which are like the dominant players in the React space, and even other frameworks like Nuxt for Vue or Svelte, they're all picking up this new paradigm where we're basically going back to the basics, and we're no longer preventing defaults or forms. So basically, in those apps, everything is a GET request or a POST request. But then they also have ways to delete stuff, but it's not via method overriding, what you learned, but slightly other methods. But basically everything that happens through a POST request, and there are ways to tell the server, hey, this POST request should actually delete something. But before that, and I think because Twitter's code base is a little older, it's probably still that way. People are actually manually calling fetch, similar to how we have it here on screen somewhere. And if you do that, then you can also decide the method, because fetch takes in a second optional argument where you can say, hey, my method is actually not get, it's like post or whatever. And that is how most apps do it that are older than like 1.5 years, I would say.
Could they use Axios as well?
Of course, yes, and many do.
So you can use Axios not only to get and post to someone else's API, but to your own API as well?
Yeah, of course, especially to your own. I mean, if anything, you might not be able to post other APIs because of what you will learn soon: authentication and authorization. So everything in the web, like everything that should only be accessed by certain websites, for example, or certain users even, use public and private key encryption to make sure that only one person can modify the data of that person.
Can't you post something to the, for example, to the ChatGPT API?
Yes, but there are restrictions, right? So when
Yes.
you nowadays want to use ChatGPT, you first have to create an account on a developer account on the ChatGPT website. And then from your dashboard there, from your developer dashboard, you basically get a public key. And it's, I don't know how much you know about public and private key encryption, but basically through that public key, or private key even, maybe I'll thought that through that private key, you can basically sign the request, and then OpenAI knows, oh, it's you who are making these requests to our, to the neural net, and then they bill you based on the request that you do. They can also punish you, right? If you try to, I don't know, get ChatGPT to explain to you how to create meth, maybe they block your account at some point. But basically, because of the private public key encryption, they can tell exactly who it is. And they can also be like, hey, any request that comes here that has an invalid private key. So either it's not there or it belongs to no one, like it's just a random one that we have never given to anyone, then they can just block that request and be like, hey, this was an invalid request.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, so, but would you say Twitter nowadays it's still using forms, right?
Let's just see what Twitter uses. We can go on Twitter. Oh, Twitter is blocked right now from my blocker, so I cannot go to it right now. Actually, we can add the question tomorrow if you want it.
I could see the window, but
Yeah, you can see the window, but it's not loading. Like I have a program running on my computer right now that blocks all social media for me right now,
got it.
except streaming, obviously, because we're streaming.
Yes, but I mean, we don't have to break that blocker away tomorrow or anytime. I'm just curious about the concept itself. Like, it's some kind of a form, right?
Maybe that's the thing. Like if the code of Twitter is old, it doesn't even need a form. It only needs an input, but that input might not be inside of a form.
Okay, I basically how do you say it? Equivalized both as the
Yeah,
same.
they're the same,
Input
right?
and
So
form.
if you have an input and a button,
Got it.
you don't get all the default behavior of the browser doing get or post requests and stuff. That is only enabled once you put a form in there and you put a submit button inside of the form.
Got it. And but you can build similar behavior with an input.
Yeah, there are a bunch of drawbacks in there. so it's not really accessible. Screen readers have problem stuff. So it's very great that all of the ecosystem is shifting away. But like tons of apps and startups that have been built in the past between 1.5 and 8 years before that, I would say, that violated a lot of accessibility concerns because forms were no longer needed. And most wrote their apps just with inputs and buttons, and yeah, forms were just basically never used.
Got it. Yeah. So now I'm just curious about how to make make the data actually be like having the data actually be saved and not lost when I restart the server. But I guess that will come in future future lessons.
Exactly. That's the topic of databases, and you're gonna learn it very soon.
Awesome. That's I'm feeling sparks of curiosity flowing
Awesome.
through my system.
Well, I hope these sparks are jumping over to our viewers. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Keep your coding habit alive. Join us here every day to hold yourself accountable and to learn something, because we're explaining everything from the Web Developer Bootcamp, and we're going to go far beyond that. And if you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments. As long as our viewership isn't too big, we're going to address every single one of your questions. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been day 47 of 100 Days of Code with
Leon Andersen and my mentor,
Adam Mill from 10x Dev. So now we have to write down all the ones that we have. We have don't be an NPC, which is a non-programming character. Be a PPC, so like a pro-programming character. We have ADC, always be coding, and we have AFAB, as fast as possible. See you guys.
But it's TX PC, 10x programming character.
Oh, yeah, with TXPC. Damn, we still need to work out on the branding. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Bye bye. Until tomorrow.